Welcome to Cambro Eats. I'm your host, Felix Bazgan. On the show today, we talk to Hanalei Souza, a sous chef, an author, and a content creator on all your favorite platforms. Let's get to the interview. Welcome, Hanalei Souza, to the show. Hanalei, as you've heard, is right now full-time sous chef with a very interesting social media platform, tons of followers. She's written a book. She's got a BA in business admin with a major in ski resort management, which is very fascinating to me. So I want to hear more about that. But before we get to that, let's hear a little bit about your culinary journey. How did you end up where you're at?
It's been a long journey because I started cooking as a kid. I was one of those kids who cooked all the time. I started cooking Thanksgiving dinner when I was like 12, and it was funny because I posted on Instagram the other day. I was like, I have 13 years of experience cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and someone was like, "How is that a joke?" I was like, "No, like, that's real." I started. I started when I was 12 or 13. So just loved cooking, but I didn't consider it as a career. I didn't I think I liked it and I didn't want to not like it. So I was like, well, I don't want to go down that path and be a chef or anything. Like I think I'll do something else and I'll cook on the side. Um, so that's why I ended up doing the ski resort management degree.
Okay.
So I did go into working at a ski resort on the mountain for my first 2 years after I graduated. And it was awesome. I really loved that job. It was a lot of fun. It was on the mountain. I got to be out there on my snowboard every day. And then that's why I moved up to where I live is to snowboard. And so I did that 2 winters. And then I got promoted to management in my second winter, and I learned a ton there. And then I needed a summer job though, because it was only in the winter. So I was like, well, I should just try this cooking thing. Like it won't hurt. And so my first year, I got a job at this really small mom and pop place as a line cook. Started right there cooking on the line. Like actually, I was surprised they hired me with zero experience, zero schooling, zero nothing. Like I just in a tourist town. I feel like there you have a lot of opportunity working in a tourist town if you want to get into any kind of industry because everywhere needs workers, like any
Right.
kind of industry. Um, so they'll a lot of industries in tourist towns they'll just hire you without experience.
Right.
Um, so worked there and I really liked it, but I wasn't ready to commit. So I went back to the ski resort for one more year. And then that second summer after my ski resort job, I was like, I'm gonna go find a job at the busiest restaurant in my town where the line is always at the door. I'm just gonna get my butt kicked every single day for one summer, and then like I'll probably go back to the ski resort job, but like I'm just gonna get out of my system and like maybe decide if it's for me, if this is what I want to do long term or not. But this is how I'll decide. I'll just get my butt kicked at the busiest restaurant in town, and that was 4.5 years ago. And now I'm the sous chef there at that restaurant.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of been my story.
So what was that? So that's fascinating. Is there a certain time, or is there something that you could point to where you said, this is I love this wherever the getting your butt kicked, so to speak.
Yeah.
What was it that said, you know what, I love the is it the constant movement? Is it just the everyday kind of activity? What is it about the culinary life that really kind of made you commit for all these years?
There's a lot of things. I feel like I remember my first time in the week. I remember it was July 4th weekend at that small mom and pop place. Like I remember the first rush I ever went through. I remember it was a Friday, and like I remember like it was really crazy in the moment, right? But then at like 3 o'clock when the tickets started to die down and you could kind of like come to your senses, I was like, okay, like that sucked, but like that was actually kind of cool, and like I can't wait till I'm good at this, even though like
Right.
it was obviously my first month in the industry and I didn't do good in that rush, but I was like, that was kind of fun. Like that was kind of a cool feeling. Like, okay. And then when I moved on to the next restaurant job, I feel like just overall, like I also read Kitchen Confidential during that time, like to really help kind of like solidify my decision or not. And then I also I just really like the camaraderie and like the people and the just I would go to work every day and like have fun and
Right.
like enjoy being there just because we would joke around with everyone and like it was just a lot of fun. And I feel like I always liked working with my hands and like making things. And, I had an office job at one point when I was like as a summer job when I was like 19 and it sucked and I hated it. So that was like, okay, like this is active, it's
Yeah.
fun. I
Yeah.
like the people. And
Right.
and I saw a lot of opportunity because I wanted leadership because I was a supervisor at the ski resort job. So I was like, I want more than to just cook and take orders and stuff. Like I want to see where this goes and see if I can become a leader. Um, and so I saw a lot of opportunity at that place where I was.
Okay. Um, did you get some carryover from your experience at the resort to your current role or to the current role initially?
Yeah, definitely. Um, the main one being that at that first job, I was one woman out of 30 men, and I was the supervisor. And I was 21 years old at the time. So it was
Uh,
like really hard for me. And like they were all older than me. They didn't want to do what I said. Like I feel like that experience really shaped me and helped me become a better chef, even though it wasn't a cooking job. But I mean, I feel like once you can lead in one industry, you can lead in another. Like a lot of it carries over. And I would say also like the long hours, the physical labor, like a lot of it contributed to like being the chef that I am. And yeah, I think a lot of people only count like cooking experiences like their experience, that culminates to where they are today. But I definitely feel like that ski resort job played a huge part in like how I ended up in kitchens.
Very good. So talk about that because I think your book, it's titled "Nice Work, Boys." Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think you touched upon it. Obviously, in some industries here where it is kind of male dominated in a sense in the back of house and all that kind of good stuff. Um, what have your, in your time in both of these places, what have you learned and what would you share with others?
Yeah. So that is what my book is about. So I'll try to share a short answer. If you want the 50,000 word answer, then that's what it's about. But I feel like overall it's been a really good experience. Like I've had a lot of fun. Um, and just even like learning to lead, I kind of talk about this in the book, but like it doesn't really matter if you're a man, if you're a woman, like whatever you are, like some struggles in leadership, like sometimes having to manage people is just hard. Like no matter who you are. And I feel like I have this section in the book where I talk about that. And um just like I had this moment where I was talking to another younger guy who was also like my kind of same level at the ski resort. He had just been promoted too, and like we were both like 21 or 22 years old, and he was like, "Man, this is hard. Like people don't listen to me." And I kind of was like, oh, "Okay, you too. Like that's good. It's not a me. It's not a me thing. It's not a woman thing. It's just a
Yeah.
leadership thing."
Right.
So I would say like that was kind of one of the main points that I hit. And then also just everything I learned just learning on the fly. Like I feel like that's kind of how it is in the kitchen or even like in that ski resort leadership job. Like nothing can really prepare you to have to manage people. Like
Right.
even getting a ski resort management degree, or like I see people getting like culinary, not just a culinary school degree, but like a culinary management degree or like culinary leadership classes. Like I feel like none of that prepares you at all. Like you can learn about it, but you're not going to learn it unless you're in the thick of it, like failing and making a fool of yourself and learning from your mistakes and doing all that. So in the book, I just tell a lot of stories, like a lot of firsthand stories. It's kind of more just like a memoir where it's not really a book about where I'm telling you how to lead.
Right.
It's more like a memoir where I share a lot of stories from real life and I share with you the characters and like all the people that I met and like all their quirks and all their funny quotes and like just kind of I really try to bring these kitchens to life and like bring the characters to life.
Yeah, I think you touched on a really good point. One of the things that I think about all the time is just because someone's good at doing job X doesn't mean they'd be great at managing people who do job,
Yeah,
right? That's the thing.
yeah,
People are good at just doing that thing because it takes whole different not only skill set but just approach to everything. It's not just you're not just leading people to do the job you had. It's not just
yeah,
training that job, right? So
yeah. That's
yeah,
part of the job,
yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
big thing. Okay, let's talk a little bit about social media. So obviously, your user name handle, so to speak, is a lady line cut, correct? Right? You have a big
yeah.
following on Instagram and obviously TikTok and all that. Uh, how long have you started creating kind of content for that? Like seriously, like very consistently, frequently, with the goal of communicating with the audience.
Yeah, so I also have 13 years of experience doing that. I started making cooking videos when I was a kid, and my brother would film, and I would make, they were no good, obviously. I had no views, I had no subscribers, but I had a lot of fun, and I was cooking some sophisticated stuff. Like my first video I made, it was like a braised beef shank with like coconut curry or something. It's a recipe I still make to this day. And then I would like show a recipe, but the video would be 7 or 8 minutes long, and I would ramble and tell a bunch of jokes, and like my brother would make funny noises behind the camera. Like it was a blast.
That's
And
fun.
I never did it for views. And so I did that for quite a few years. And then I took a break once I moved out of my parents' house, and then didn't really make videos, but I feel like I still, you know, was thinking about content and thinking about, I was busy with college and starting my first jobs and starting in kitchens and all that. And then in 2020, the pandemic hit in May or in April. And then I started the account in May because we were in complete lockdown. This was like lockdown number one, like ground zero, like everyone in their house, everything closed. I was obviously out of a job. I was working at that same restaurant where I am right now. And yeah, I was really bored. I missed work. I was one of those people that was like, man, this sucks. Like I would just started in kitchens too. I was like, this was right after I decided that yes, I want to be a chef. Like I want to be in kitchens. Let's go. And that was in end of 2019. So I was like really disappointed. I was like, I miss work. I miss the printer. I never thought I'd say that, but like, and I would have all these ideas for memes and stuff about work, and I would post them on my personal Facebook page, but then obviously like no one would understand those. I was like, man, I wish I had like a community of chefs I could share these memes with. And then I was just like, well, I'm just gonna start an Instagram and I'm just gonna post memes. So that's what I did for the first almost a year. I just posted memes. I didn't even show my face because I was kind of camera shy. Even though I was a kid, I'd made cooking videos, but I didn't really have an audience. So I feel like this is kind of different where I was like, okay, like there's actually people watching and liking my stuff. So I didn't show my face. I didn't even put my name on the page. I think it just said Lady Line Cook. Like no one knew my name, no one knew my face. I just posted memes. And then yeah, I didn't reveal my face until I announced that I was writing a book, and then I finally like came out as to like who I was. But yeah, I never started it to like be a Instagram influencer or anything. Like I didn't even want to be on camera. And then obviously when Reels came out, um, I was really reluctant. I was like, I don't want to make Reels. I was never on, I literally joined TikTok like last month. So like I was never into TikTok, like really reluctantly joined it last month. But I was like, I guess I gotta make a stupid reel if I want my following to go anywhere. Like, so that's what I did. I made my first reel, and it was actually really fun, and it was a hit, and people liked it, and they were like, we want to see more of this. And so I just started making these like goofy
Yeah.
videos about working in a kitchen where it's like there'd be like a trending audio, and I would think, okay, how does this apply to working in a kitchen? I would usually find something that like really hit the mark or like resonated with you if you were a cook or a chef, and people were sharing my stuff. And then um, I feel like growth was kind of slow until I posted this video about ordering the sauce on the side. I don't know if you've seen it. It went viral. I reposted on Instagram twice. Each time it got 4 million views, then it got 2 million views. And then I posted it on TikTok. I only had like 100 followers on TikTok and I got like 2.1 million views. So I don't know. I still don't understand what it is with that one video, but people would get into debates in the comments, and I think that's what pushed it up. But like
Right.
it was about if you order a dish with a sauce on the side, we sauce it accidentally. You know, there is or was a sauce version of your dish sitting somewhere in the restaurant in the trash or in the belly of an employee.
Right.
And for some reason, people just they just love that one. And so that one I feel like really kind of helped me blow up like last summer. And then I just kept the momentum from there.
You have to go. Yeah. That's what I find really interesting. I think a lot of times, when I look at different industries or even our own industry, I think people, even outside it or a little bit removed, are always interested and fascinated by the kind of like not inside jokes, but like a little bit of
Yeah.
getting a look under the hood, so to speak. So what has been something a little surprising to you that's kind of resonated? Obviously, you just mentioned one of the things, but what are some of the things that people said that when you express kind of common knowledge about your obviously environment and workplace that they
Yeah.
were surprised by? What's something?
Yeah. I mean, the sauce on the side one, that one is like so many comments. Because like once you reach a million views, like it's not chefs looking at it, it's
Right.
everyone
Yeah, like
who's
that.
seeing it. And so many people are like, they would just comment like, huh? Question mark. Like so many comments that just said that. I was like, okay, like you don't have to comment on every video you see. Over
Yeah.
like people being like, oh, you pre-make your food? I thought you were a restaurant cook. I thought you cook things to order. Like, this
Right.
is gross. Tell me where you work so I could not go there. It's like, that's not the point. Of course, we're not pre-making and microwaving our dish. I mean, some places do that, but
Yeah.
most places don't do that. And a
Yeah.
lot of people were like, I don't understand. Like, what if I have a serious allergy? Does that mean you're just wiping the sauce off? Like, I'm like, no, I remake the dish. That's the point of the video. So like just the amount of debates, and then there were some cooks, or no, a bunch of people said, read your tickets. Why don't you read your tickets? Like, and then it was funny because there'd be other chefs who comment and be like, imagine you had 100 tickets and you made the same thing 1,000 times, and then all of a sudden you got to make it different. Like, just imagine. And like a lot of there was debates and debates about like,
Exactly.
and then there were some chefs who were like, nah, you just suck as a chef. Like, do better. But it was like all over the place. So I
Okay.
feel like that was the biggest kind of inside joke about our industry that I feel like, you're not going to see that on Food Network. Like Food Network's going to show you how to like, they're going to show you recipes and like stuff that they want the general public to see about cooking. But it's the little inside jokes, like always putting the sauce on the side,
Right. Right.
messing it up, that I feel like people don't really think about. They're like, oh, if anything, it's easier for you to not put sauce because like that's one less thing that you have to put on the plate, when it's like you're not a pilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just going through the motions.
Yeah. What would you say if the restaurant kind of owners or somebody, chefs looking to start a restaurant, about getting on social media and things like that? Would you recommend it? What are some of the things that you'd say you need to watch out for?
You definitely should be yourself. That's what I always say. I feel like a lot of people ask, like, man, I want to get started on social media. I want to do what you're doing. Like, what should I do? I was like, be yourself. Like, don't try to be like the influencers out there. Like, I make fun of them all the time on my page too. I'll be like, I did a spoof like get ready with me the other day where I was like pretending to be those like Instagram, because I'm like the anti-Instagram girl. Like, I never thought that, like, I never set out to be an influencer or be like a content creator or anything. I
Right.
just kind of was like, I want chef memes, and there's no good chef memes. So now I'm here. So I feel like be yourself, post what feels natural to you, and like try to see creativity in like everyday things instead of sitting down and being like, okay, right now I'm gonna write content, I'm gonna make content. Like as you're going about your day, you're thinking like, oh, that's kind of a funny story. Like I should, most of my content is based off like real things.
Right.
So I would say like, even if you're a business trying to like market yourself, I'd say like getting on reels, even if you don't want to. I see a lot more restaurants these days like actually making these funny like TikTok kind of things with their staff, and like,
Yeah.
but then you go to their page and it's like a restaurant page and you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like I thought it was just a funny kitchen video, but it's actually like now you're getting tons of views and tons of traffic to your page.
Right.
So I think like trying to think outside the box with
Sure.
not just posting about your product or like
Right.
making your feed like basically one giant advertisement because
Right.
no one's going to want to follow that. Actually just thinking like, okay, like what do people want to see?
Right.
And how does this tie into like my business or my restaurant?
Right. No, that's a good point. And you're right. I think a lot of people, especially small business, they love to see, I don't want to say the struggles, but kind of the things that you deal with, on a day to day. It's like, the deliveries of things or what, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The labor issues are all, hey, the challenges with this, that, and the other. So I think it's not necessarily whining or complaining about it, but just kind of expressing the everyday things besides just you walk in and
Yeah.
there's your box of donuts and ready to go, kind of a thing,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. People like to see behind the scenes, like they like to see how their stuff is made, like how their drink is made, how their food is made,
sure,
stuff
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
because again, if they have any kind of affinity to you, it just kind of builds a bond a little bit more. So yeah, okay. What do you have planned for the next little while? Any books, anything else going on? What are your plans for the near term here?
Yeah. I'm just trying to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Try to I like staying in kitchens full time. I'm not trying to be like a full-time content creator or anything. I'm like the income would be nice. I don't make like any money from it right now, but I'm not trying to retire or do that full time because the content comes from my work, comes from my kitchen. So like if I were to quit my kitchen job and be like, oh, I'm only going to make content, then there would be no more content. I
Right,
wouldn't
that's
post
your
a single
base.
thing.
Yeah, right.
Like that, I wouldn't have anything to post. So I'm definitely, that's not a goal of mine right now.
You don't
I
want
feel
to be
like
a travel influencer.
everyone wants to be that these days, but I really enjoy working with my hands, working long hours in the kitchen. Like I feel like that's where I want to be right now. Continuing to like progress there wherever that takes me. Um, I don't have a second book planned yet, but it would be nice. It was so much effort to write one.
Yeah,
I feel like, it's a lot in terms of like, because that was like years and years of my journals and notebooks and stuff that I had to like compile
did
and
you?
then edit. The editing was like
I can imagine. So
harder.
going back to the book real quick, was there a certain point, like you said, you were keeping notes or something? Was there a certain point you thought, you know what, I'm gonna keep track of things for something down the road, or at some point you said,
Yeah,
oh, I've kept track of these things, now I'm gonna turn it into something.
I definitely, while I was working at the ski resort, I remember like I was like, man, this is just such an interesting time in my life. Like I have to be a supervisor in a department of 30 men and myself. Like I feel like that could be a good book. And so that's kind of when I started being like, okay, like I wanted to actually write a book originally that was just about that before I even started in kitchens, but it wasn't long enough. I ended up putting together like something, but it was, I mean, right now it's like 3 chapters long. So it wasn't book length, but it was like too long for anything else. It wasn't like a blog post or anything, but um, so I was like, okay, well, I'll hold on to that and then I'll see. And then the way that that kind of flowed into becoming a kitchen leader, and then I was able to like tie those two things together where it's like, okay, well, and then I worked at the ski resort and then I went over to kitchens. And then I also read Kitchen Confidential and I realized I was like, I really enjoyed that book. And I realized like, okay, people want to read about like the daily life of a line cook or like the ins and outs of the kitchen. Like people love that stuff. So that really inspired me to continue writing about the kitchen because I'd always been writing too. Like it's just kind of an outlet for me. And so I just kind of I feel like the book came together really quickly because I just compiled a bunch of different
Right,
things that I'd already written and I just kind of tied them all together.
that's great. What advice would you have for young chefs, people starting out or thinking about getting into the food service industry? What would you tell
I would say just start like a lot of places will hire without experience and you're not bound to it. You're not committed to it. Like as long as you don't like it, worst case, like give them your 2 weeks notice and get out there. Like it's not like you have to commit, sign a contract or anything. Like there's literally the barrier to entry, which is why I love this industry. Like there's no barrier to entry besides hard work. So if you want it and you want to work hard and you want to be a cook, be a chef, whatever, like nothing's going to stop you unless you don't want to work hard. But if you want to work hard and you want it, I feel like not like you don't need to go to school for it. You don't even need like a lot of places won't even require you to be working X amount of years or like this or that. Like I got promoted to sous chef when I had like 2 or 3 years in the industry and no schooling. Like I feel like if you want it and you work hard, nothing's going to stop you. And a lot of places will hire you for the first time without experience and teach you everything. So yeah, that would be my advice is just start. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You're not bound to it. So it's like, why not give it one summer or one winter or something?
Sure, sure. That's very good advice. Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
And we look forward to, and we invite everybody to follow you on Instagram and definitely TikTok. If you're looking for more of those kitchen and chef inspired content. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening. Check out cambreats.com for more information. Until next time, stay hungry.